Guys, it is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Hey, welcome to the video. I'm going to introduce myself before we jump into your first 48 hours in Raid Shadow Legends. My name is Ash. I've been covering mobile games for about 12 years on YouTube. I started with Clash of Clans. About 6 years ago, I started covering Raid Shadow Legends, not on the YouTube channel you're watching right now, but on my main Raid channel. This is primarily for guides on the weekends and for news during the week. But my main channel is Ash Raid Shadow Legends. So hey, if you download the game, you check out the game, you like the game, go ahead and join me. I upload almost every single day on my main channel. So I want to focus on just what I said, right? I have this guide out, the beginner's guide for 2025. I release one in the early on every single year. So if you're looking for a longer, really like going through every little area of the game, what is it? What does it do? Why would you want to like farm there or spend your resources and time there? I cover all of that in this beginner's guide, right? Today's video is going to be much more, I guess, acute in terms of the time frame. I just want to focus on picking up the game, like what to do, because that can be some of the most, I don't know, overwhelming times. Just picking up the brand new game, not know what the heck's going on. So I want to be your Sherpa today and help you through your first 48 hours. And I want to do it in 10 kind of chapters or tips that can guide you along the way. Before we get to any of that, and we'll be super quick here, if you haven't used a download link, use a download link. I don't care if it's mine, it's whatever. I don't get anything if you guys use my link versus somebody else's, but use a link, right? I'll link mine, my download link. It's for a free legendary champion, Eleanor. You don't know what she does, but just know that she has a really good kit for progression, irresistible burn and poisons, and just can really help you with those two debuffs, specifically HP burn and poison, which again, you'll know more about once you start playing the game a little bit more. I also give two of the best epics in the game in Ugo, who's a debuffer, and Tagore, who's a reviver and support champion from the Orcs. So yeah, go ahead and use the code, right? Even if you just downloaded, delete and re-download and use a code. Again, you don't have to use my link. You can use anybody's link, but the link will give you your rewards in your inbox, okay? There's also promo codes for new players. I would just Google search new player Raid Shadow Legends promo codes. There's a bunch of them out there, and they all give really good legendary champions. So you want to pick up one of those as well. That's going to start you out really with a lot of extra footing. This is something that Plarium, the developer of Raid, has done recently, the last year or so. They've really revved up the beginner, download perks and rewards and promo codes as kind of a catch-up mechanic for new players out there. So yeah, you have your Forge starting champions. Still to this day, it's not going to mess your account up no matter who you go with. For starters, there's Elhain, there's Kayle, there's Galek, and there's Aethel. But I would still recommend Kayle if you really want to optimize the early game. He has poisons, and poisons can help you out in several areas, clan boss and dragon, which are going to be some of your main focuses here in the early game. All right, we got that all out of the way. Let's open up the chapters here. So hopefully you don't mind the format of this video, but I wanted to kind of make it, I guess, a little bit easier in terms of just rambling to you guys for a half an hour. We'll keep it pretty easy. Chapter 1. The golden rule, campaign first, right? So in the game, I'm using my main account, not a brand new account, but it doesn't matter because I'm just going to show you where these areas are. If you click on the battle screen, don't mind the incessant pop-ups in this game, right? Get used to them. If you click on the battle screen, right? And by the way, it's not too late, Like, I get that question a lot from new prospective players. Is it too late to download Raid now, 6 or 7 years into the game's lifespan? Raid's not a contest and it's not a race, right? Play this game the way that you enjoy it. You're not going to totally screw up your account no matter what you do, right? Even if you use like a premium resource on the wrong champion, sure, it's a bummer, but it's not the end of the world, right? It's a game at the end of the day. So don't stress playing Raid Shadow Legends. All right. Chapter 1, campaign is everything. This is where you're going to start out, right? In the campaign with your starting champion and whatever bonuses that you get along the way as well. Your number one job is progressing through campaign mode, right? Basically, you just want to progress your way through. This is going to be, where everybody kind of starts the game. It's kind of boring, I'm not going to lie to you guys, but eventually you just want to make your way. You want to make a note here in the Dreadlands. One of the best rares, War Maiden, drops in the Dreadlands, so you want to make sure that you pick her up, okay? So she's a champion champion worth holding on to. She's a really good rare debuffer. She has an AoE attack that brings the big version of decreased defense, which allows you to do way more damage, and it also kind of sets you up for really good offense through defense, okay? Now, if you have Ugo, you might not need War Maiden right away if you use that download link, but it's worth noting that she's definitely worth going for in Stage 9. Okay, so focus on clearing as far as possible on normal difficulty, unlocks essential rewards like gear sets, experience, and silver. Basically, you're going to be farming in the campaign in the very, very beginning of this game. So yeah, just progress through the campaign. It will be pretty easy, pretty intuitive. You just keep going. Prioritize 3-star stages, but I put don't get stuck in the grinding perfection, right? You don't have to 3-star every stage. It's nice to do so. Eventually, you're going to need to, but don't get stressed out about optimizing every little thing. Just push for progression. All right, Chapter 2. Pick a carry, not a team, right? This game, you don't want to spread your resources too thin, and that's going to be a common theme here throughout this video. Choose one strong damage dealer, ideally your starting champion. Kayle, you know, is who I recommend, but you can go with any of them. My second favorite, by the way, is Aethel, personally. You can pour your early resources into this one champion, okay? So provided you're not using a download link, which you should, you really want to focus on your starting champion. It's never a bad idea to invest in Kayle anyway, even if you do get other champions, because in this game, rares are easier to upgrade fully and cheaper to upgrade fully than epics, and then legendaries and certainly mythicals, which you don't have to worry about anytime soon, okay? In terms of rarity, the lower the rarity of the champion, the easier they are, the less resource intensive to totally max out, okay? Spreading your resources too thin is a big, big issue in the early game. Number 3 is energy is everything, right? So energy, you know, I put your real bottleneck, but they have gotten better about giving a lot of energy in the early game. This is your energy over here. This is the currency that it costs to engage in battles in dungeons and potion keeps, almost everywhere in the dungeon map, certainly. But other areas will not require energy, right? Some of these, like, I would look at these as almost expansions to the game over the years. Cursed City, Siege, Doom Tower. You don't have to stress those areas in your first 48 hours, but you will eventually get acquainted with them, probably in your first week or two. So don't stress them, but just maybe look around, explore a little bit, and you can check out my main big guide if you want a more robust understanding of everywhere in the game. So you do your daily quests, your missions, your free energy. You're going to be put in a novice tournament as a brand new player, like a beginner's tournament. By the way, the tournaments, you can see them right on your main screen, right here in the tournament menu, right? So you're going to be put in one of those. You can go for the tournament, and you'll get a lot of resources. This game is good at giving you a bunch of resources early on. Just don't go crazy spending it all the time, or right away, rather, because you're going to need some of that, you know, as you progress and start to understand more about the game as well, right? Gear smarts, okay? You're going to have lifesteal gear from the campaign as your major milestone, right? That lifesteal gear is good to upgrade, right, early on. It's going to help keep your damage dealer, your Kayle, or whoever you're using, alive without needing a healer, because you're getting some HP back for the damage that you do, right? So lifesteal is pretty good early on. But again, upgrading random gear to level 16, don't do it, right? Like, most of the gear that you farm from campaign or anywhere else, like dungeons and stuff, early on in the game, it's not going to be gear that you're going to be using in a month, let alone probably a week, okay? So don't go crazy upgrading tons of gear in the early game, right? Sure, you want to equip your main carry. You want to start kind of narrowly on one champion, and then you can start building your second champion, your first kind of team, and formulating that, right? And then the game really opens up after that. But the first 48 hours, don't go crazy wasting your silver on crappy gear, okay? In this game, real quick, just so you understand, we have accessories and we have artifacts, okay? Accessories are this row. We have our ring and our amulet and our banner. They unlock as you ascend champions. You can learn more about that in my big beginner's guide, but just so you know what they are. And then the rest of your gear is called artifacts. That's going to be your weapon, your helmet, your shield, your gauntlets, your chest piece, and your boots, okay? Speed boots. Main stat, speed on boots for every champion, right? Speed is king in Raid Shadow Legends. One of the biggest mistakes that new players make is not putting speed on their boots of every champion. You want to go ahead and eventually put speed on boots on every champion. Now, in the mid to the late game, there can be exceptions to that rule for sure, but in the early game, it's all about speed, right? If you take away one thing from the video, speed is everything in Raid. On your damage dealers, you want, crit rate too. Ideally, critical rate to be 100, right? For your damage dealers. And anybody who's doing anything to the enemy, right? Landing debuffs, like Kale's poisons, for example, that requires accuracy. How much accuracy do you need? Generally 10 points of accuracy per stage of the dungeon. So if you're farming stage 50 of Dragon's Lair, stage 5 rather of Dragon's Lair, generally need around 50 accuracy, okay, as a rule of thumb. All right, let's keep it going here. So early mistakes, upgrading a bunch of crappy gear. Sell your gear instead, get more silver. Clan hustle, find a clan, right? Join a clan as soon as possible. Don't stress finding the perfect clan, because honestly, you could either start your own in the future, or you could, go switch clans as you progress a little bit more into the game. Any clan is better than no clan because you'll have access to areas of the game like Clan Boss that you wouldn't otherwise have. Dungeon priorities. In the first 2 days here, we're not talking about 2 weeks, we're talking about 2 days. You really only need to worry about Dragon's Lair and maybe a little bit of Ice Golem, right? Sure, you can mess around and explore. There's nothing against that, of course. You can try other dungeons, but the main 4 kind of OG dungeons in the game that were there at the very start of the game back in 2019 are Ice Golem, Spider's Den, Dragon's Lair, and Fire Knight, okay? Spider's Den is where you get your accessories, by the way, okay? Ring, Amulet, Banner. That's the spot to go. You can also farm there for silver too as you progress. It's a good place to sell your accessories to get a lot more silver than you otherwise would in other dungeons. All right, Dragon's Lair. Well, this is where you get speed gear, right? And we just said speed is everything. You can also get lifesteal gear, which we spoke about as well. The sets aren't, insanely good nowadays, but there's still some basic kind of staples in the game that you can certainly use, speed and lifesteal. If you look at every dungeon, by the way, you'll see, I'm in hard mode right now, normal mode, you'll see these artifact thresholds. On stage 1, it's 1 to 2 stars. On stage 4 or 3, it's 2 to 3. You want to look and kind of set these benchmarks for yourself as you're progressing to start unlocking better gear. So you look at that second number. I can get 5-star gear all the way through stage 12, but then at stage 13, I can start getting 6-star gear. 6-star gear is the highest stars available for gear. So you should set a little benchmark. I want to clear stage 13 of Dragon's Lair, right? That's a good goal in your early days of Raid Shadow Legends, so you can start getting 6-star gear, which you probably won't have to just sell all of, right? So those are some goals or areas of focus, I should say, beyond campaign in the early game. Pitfalls. Don't over-upgrade your food champions like crappy. You're going to get so many champions in this game, right? I remember the first time I played a gacha game like this, I was just like trying to, you don't know, like you get all these champions, especially out of like some of these like mystery shards. You get all these crappy champions, right? And they're not good. One to keep an eye out for is Armiger. He's an uncommon champion that is pretty good, but most of these champions are trash. You don't want to be upgrading uncommons and commons in this game, and a lot of rare champions too. There's plenty of tier lists out there. There's plenty of resources. I'll link a couple websites for you guys too in the show notes, just so you can see quick consultation on a tier list if a champion that you happen to pull is good or worth holding on to. But you'll learn as you go. Don't stress out. Don't ignore your daily quests. That's a good kind of compass for you. I don't know what to do now. Daily quest. Daily quest. Avoid splitting focus on arena too much too early. Arena is important to do on a daily basis, but you don't have to stress out winning every match. Winning or losing, it's not the end of the world. You just want to just make some steady progress. Your arena, like PvP in this game, is attached to something called our Great Hall. Our Great Hall allows us to upgrade stats that are applicable everywhere in the game, not just the arena, not just PvP, okay? So generally we start with Magic Affinity when you're working on your Great Hall because that's what your starter is, right? Especially if you use my code, Elenaril and Ugo, they're also Magic Affinity, right? So go ahead and take advantage. Tagore, so it's gonna be great to start with the Magic Affinity and start with accuracy. I always recommend starting there in terms of your Great Hall priorities because accuracy is so important to land our debuffs inside this game. All right, let's go on to Chapter 9. Day 2, power spikes. Obviously, it depends on how much you're playing the game, right? But push campaign as far as you can. Try to unlock that brutal difficulty, right? Work on your first 5-star champion, right? So that could be Kale, right? Farm gear sets from campaign, speed and lifesteal. We just talked about that, right? As far as dragon, campaign it drops too, but dragon's going to be a bit better in terms of the caliber of the gear. And begin dabbling a bit in Dragon's Lair, like we spoke about. All right. I want to end with kind of a final thought for you guys, right? Welcome to the game. It's going to be cool. I actually like Raid. Raid has a mixed reputation out there, to say the least, right? But a lot of players who really get into this game, whether you're spending money or not spending money, that's up to you guys. I'm not here to preach either way. But I think this game is what you make of it, right? Like, it's a really good game. It's been on top in this genre for years and years, over half a decade now, right? And that's for a reason. It's actually better, in my opinion. I'm biased, right? But I think it's a lot better than its reputation is out there. There's a lot to do in this game. There's a lot of strategy in this game. There are pop-ups. There is a strong pay-to-win dynamic to it, but there's also no winning. So it's kind of true, kind of not true, right? Play at your own pace. Do your own thing. If you are going to spend in this game, though, I highly recommend you set a budget, right? Like, whatever, $20 a month, and I'm not going over it. Because the gotcha element of this game, of these games, this genre of games, is they get you comfortable spending a little bit and then a little bit comfortable spending more and more and more, and that's when things get out of control. Anyway, it's a marathon, not a sprint. First 48 hours aren't about having the strongest team. They're about building a foundation, right? You can use your gems, by the way, early on your starting champion's masteries, okay? That will make mastery farming in Minotaur's Labyrinth a lot easier after that. Start with your carry, work on campaign, understand the dailies, the quests, and stuff like that. You can see they're right on the main screen, quests. You can also go to your challenges as well. Start working on your missions as well. So these little tabs in the bottom here is going to be your best friend in terms of if you don't know what to do, just look at those, right? And then a life tie-in at the end of the video. No big deal, right? Focus beats frenzy. Just like in real life, trying to do everything all at once, it's not going to get you anywhere, right? But if you commit to one priority at a time, focus on one champion at a time, one dungeon at a time, one goal at a time, you're going to be far better off. Guys, I didn't want to make this an hour, didn't even want to make it 20 minutes, so I'm going to cap it there. But I have that beginner's guide. If you want to learn more about the game, I'll link that in the description below, along with the download link. Thank you for watching the video till the end. Much love. Welcome to Raid. And as always, take care, guys.